Hybrid project management combines the traditional waterfall and agile methodologies to create a flexible, also structured approach tailored to project unique needs. While agile provides the adaptability and iterative development, waterfall offers strict planning, documentation, and sequential execution. Many organizations adopt hybrid approaches when dealing with diverse teams, regulatory requirements, and fixed deadlines, allowing them to leverage agile flexibility while maintaining waterfall predictability. Why we use, let's say, hybrid project management? Hybrid models offer the flexibility and control. As I mentioned, that agile enables the adaptability, while waterfall maintains a structured oversight. When it comes to stakeholder alignment, think of these regulatory and high risk projects that benefit from waterfall project execution, also the documentation, while keeping agile iterative approach for feedback loops. Also, when it comes to have an efficient resource utilization, so some teams work in agile, for example, software development, product development, while also others follow the waterfall project when dealing with compliance teams and compliance and regulatory projects. And here are the key differences between agile, waterfall, and hybrid approaches. So this is a side-by-side comparison of agile and waterfall and hybrid projects or approaches. So when it comes to the flexibility, agile has high flexibility, while when it comes to waterfall, it has a low flexibility. But when a hybrid approach has a moderate, let's say, flexibility when dealing with these projects. Also, when it comes to risk management, with the risk management, agile has continuous risk management, where you keep, identifying the let's say the user stories with their risks. So you tackle the highest risk user stories first. When it comes to waterfall, they have strict upfront risk management. Think of identifying the risks, let's say planning for the responses, assessing its qualitative and the qualitative and quantitative impact on the project overall. On the other hand, you have hybrid, and hybrid has, let's say, a balanced risk management approach. When it comes to documentation in agile are the minimal documentation, because they think that documentation takes time and time is waste in agile. But waterfall has an extensive documentation when it comes to all of these planning processes, with its all of the requirements, with the schedule planning, with the cost planning, let's say with all of these risks, all of these resource management and resource plans. So it has an extensive documentation. And hybrid is, let's say the documentation here is tailored based on the project context. Stakeholder involvement in agile project is high, but in waterfall you just interact with the stakeholder when collecting the requirements and showing them the progress, not like agile where you keep the stakeholder involved at each of the sprint review meetings. When it comes to hybrid has a customizable stakeholder involvement where you can mix, or you can choose to engage with the stakeholder more or less based on the project. An agile project is best for, let's say, rapid changes with fixed scope, or rapid changes with let's say, dynamic scope, where the requirements keep evolving. Waterfall has a fixed scope, so where you define the requirements, and now it's the time to implement these requirements. And in case that there is any new requirements come in waterfall, you know that you need to change. You need to follow the change control process. Hybrid approaches are best for complex but also evolving projects. So hybrid combines the structured planning, the waterfall approach, with the iterative development cycles when it comes to agile, ensuring the adaptability while reducing the risks. Now let's talk about hybrid project management frameworks. So organization adopt various, let's say, hybrid models, including waterfall with agile iteration, where planning and design follow the waterfall while the execution happens in agile sprints. Also, the next model here is agile with waterfall governance, where agile is used for development while the waterfall governs the compliance and stakeholder reporting. Also, one of these, let's say, famous hybrid models, which is the parallel agile waterfall tracks, where different teams work independently using the methodology that best suit their function. How hybrid project management works. And so, in hybrid approach, teams often use the waterfall for high level planning and agile for execution. Also, by aligning agile ceremonies like sprint planning, sprint retrospectives, uh, sprint reviews, and daily stand up meeting, they also align it with the waterfall milestones. They also intend to maintain a separate workflows for different departments. For example, maybe agile can be used for the R&D or the research and development departments, while waterfall might be used for legal compliance. So it depends on, let's say, the project type, the organization that you're working, and also it depends on the model that the organization choose to run hybrid projects based on. But what are the benefits of hybrid project management and going with that approach? So hybrid models offer a reduced risk exposure by incorporating waterfall risk analysis methods, also improving the adaptability by allowing agile teams to define the project scope. Finally, enhancing the stakeholder engagement through the structured yet iterative feedback loops. Think of all of these sprint reviews meeting where you show all of the completed work to the stakeholders and you obtain their feedback in order to ensure that you are delivering a value and you're delivering, let's say, a function that it works to benefit these stakeholders. Some challenges that you might face when trying to implement these hybrid project management approach. So hybrid models require a careful coordination to avoid the inefficiencies. And challenges here includes communication gaps that happens between the agile and waterfall teams. Also the inconstant workflows. Sometimes it leads to delays and resistance from the teams who might have been using, let's say, a long time methodology. Maybe some teams been using waterfall for so long and they don't want to, let's say, to experiment agile, and they don't have, say, enough evidence that agile might benefit them. Also, the same goes to agile teams who've been forced to go for waterfall methodology. The solution here is to have a regular alignment meetings and clear workflow documentation. Also, training these teams on utilizing the agile or waterfall methodologies. Here are some of the best practices when implementing hybrid project management. So, to effectively implement a hybrid model, first you need to define a clear roles by ensuring all of the team members understand the expectation, their roles, their responsibilities within each of the project phase. Also, one of these best practices is to align agile and waterfall workflows by mapping the dependencies between agile and waterfall teams to understand each of these processes, how it aligns. For example, when collecting the requirements in waterfall, you need to set up with the product owner or the stakeholders when during the sprint planning. So you need to align all of these waterfall processes with the agile ceremonies. Also, to effectively implement a hybrid model, you need to use a hybrid governance model by combining agile, maybe retrospectives with waterfall milestone reviews. Ensure the tools or available tools nowadays, the compatibility of these tools like softwares that supports both of these methodologies. You have Jira as one of these important tools that you can utilize. Also, the Microsoft project for waterfall projects. Here are some of the tools that can be used for hybrid project management and how you can, let's say, track the hybrid project management execution. Hybrid team needs tools that accommodate both of the predictive planning and agile execution. As I mentioned, Jira and Confluence, where it's used mainly by agile teams, and it's used to let's say to track these tasks. And Confluence can be used for documentation. Microsoft project, where you have waterfall planning and reporting, you create all of these milestones, you raise all of these change requests, and so on. You also one of these tools can be used, which is Azure DevOps, which supports hybrid workflows for sprint tracking and roadmap planning. And to summarize our first session on hybrid project management, we covered the let's say the hybrid key benefits. We have seen how it interacts with agile and waterfall projects. We also looked to the key concepts that is being used in hybrid project management. Also, we looked into when and why to use hybrid models. And finally, we looked into how can hybrid projects can ensure the success of your project implementation when we talked about the benefits of these of the hybrid model execution.